Hello everyone, this is Vincenzo, and in this video I want to show you an interesting game that I played some days ago, and this was also my best win because my opponent was rated 1750. So this was my best win so far. I was rated 1684 and got closer to 1700 with this win. And I was only 7 points away from 1700, but I lost the game after this game, and it was quite painful because it was not a good game. I blundered my queen like very early, like on move 20 or something, and I got back. So it was painful, but then I eventually got to 1700 a few days ago. So I'm going to show you this game, which was a very good game, I will say, for me, because it was a rook endgame, and to beat an higher rated player in an endgame always feels nice. So the accuracy was 91 against 81.9, so not my best, not the best accuracy for my opponent, but as you can see, he didn't make any real blunder, only 2 mistakes and 1 inaccuracy. But of course, I played better in this game, so I won, eventually won. But chess is hard, so you cannot play always like you want to, right? Okay, the game started with d4. Obviously, I always play 1 d4, unless it is an unrated game against one of my subs where I can play e4 or other openings. Okay, d5, we play the London. And black responds by moving their bishop, so very logic. And here the engine likes the move c4 early on, especially when there is no knight on f6, because I will explain this to you. If there is a knight on f6 and we go, imagine this, we go here, no wait, I inverted the move order. Okay, now there is a knight here, imagine this, and we go c4, there is this annoying move, bishop checks, and then we have to cover, and let's say we go here, there is another annoying move, and black has some easy plans, so black's game is not difficult. And even if we go here, it's even worse probably, because the knight is not defended by the pawn. Luckily it is defended right now, but this move may be coming, so we have to be very careful when playing c4. Of course it is a good move, the engine recommends it, but be very careful when you play it. Okay, and now develop the knight, standard move. I go c3. I wanted to be more solid in this game, this is why I played c3. And now we slide the bishop back as usual, and this is good for us. It is completely equal, but it is good to have the semi-open file. Okay, this is a standard move in the London, going queen b3 to attack the pawn, but it isn't the best move, because this is a simple defense. Black can even push this pawn, so yeah. I go here, and now this knight jumps in, and I didn't take it because I didn't want to take it, but I moved the knight to target the bishop because I want to damage the structure. So black takes. This is fine for me because I didn't want to castle anyway, so I have the king in the center, but it's completely safe. And now black attacks the queen. This is one drawback of playing queen b3. So I slide up because attacking the knight, but the knight plants itself on the c4 with check. So I take it because I know that trading bishop or knights is not always a good idea, but look at this. My opponent's pawns are almost all on light squares, so I cannot really move my bishop. My bishop cannot move anywhere. Maybe later on it will be useful, but I just wanted to get rid of this annoying knight. So I take it, and now I take it, and as you can see here, I felt very comfortable in this position because we have the material is equal, but my opponent has two double pawns. So I felt very comfortable. I moved the queen to attack the pawn right away, the f pawn, and black defense, but this is a mistake. I don't really know why it is such a bad mistake. But yeah, the rook gets up. I think I played it. Yes, I did. And now he let me took the pawn, so I took it with the queen because maybe it is not safe. I mean, it is safe, but maybe taking with the rook was also good because you don't trade queens. And my opponent traded because I thought they felt comfortable by playing an endgame down just one pawn against a player rated like 60 rating points less. But I felt comfortable. I wanted to simplify and see if I could win even with just one pawn of advantage. But it's not just the pawn, because this is a weakness. This can become a weakness. Maybe this one too, I don't know. And I have an active rook here and another one on the semi-open file, while my opponent's rook are on the back rank and they are not doing much. So the activity is very important. So yeah, I saw this move. I remember seeing this move, but even if I bring another rook, I cannot move it anywhere. Let's say I have a rook on h5, I cannot go here, I can go here. So if I go here and my opponent just defends, I don't know what to do. So yeah, I pushed the pawn, and now I went there because my opponent kicked my rook away, and a simple defense. And now I strike on the a file because I wanted to damage the structure. And imagine these pawns like this, it looks very bad. I could pick one, attack the other. This is a weakness, this is a weakness. So I felt very comfortable in this position. So I went here, then I took to open the file for my rook, and I attacked the weak pawn. Obviously my opponent defended it, but there is a nice tactic. Using the pin on this pawn, I take another pawn. It wasn't even the best move. The engine says king e2, but I think nobody is playing king e2 when you can just win a pawn. And as you can see, the position is +6, even if I only have 2 pawns, because of the activity of my rooks and the weakness of my opponents. So this is almost like the all pawns first episode I played yesterday versus Pierre Bot, where the position was very closed and equal, but it was like +5. So I recommend you to check that episode out. And yeah, I take the pawn. I want to simplify. I take the rook. Now more weaknesses for my opponent, because these are isolated double pawns and these are the isolated pawns, so I feel very comfortable here. I attack the h pawn, and my opponent finally realized that he must go for the activity. So here I defended the pawn. I could have let the opponent taking it, because I can just defend the f pawn and my rook is very active, but I defended it. Okay, and now a simple move. I attack. My opponent's only defensive move looks very ugly, because my response is very obvious. Yeah, wait. Okay, no. Not really. I saw this move, but that loses a pawn, then the rooks gets active, so not yet. I get my king closer. He can take my pawn, I don't care. This pawn will never advance. And now I can pick up the rest of the pawn. You can have my pawns, I don't care. Again. And I pick the last pawn. The position is plus 12. And we have both a king and a rook, but I have 4 pawns. So this was an easy win. But again, it is a rook endgame, so you have to be careful, you have to be precise, even if you have 4 pawns advantage. Now, be always careful when you push a pawn in front of your king, because sometimes these moves can be annoying, where the rook will take the pawn and you just can't defend it. In this case, it is defended and I can reinforce, so it is not a problem. But yeah, my opponent stops the advance of my pawn. Now, a very tricky move, because if my opponent blunders and does this, I can win the rook. Obviously my opponent sees it, so I advance. I have 4 pawns, I have to push them, so I get my king closer, I advance the pawns, and now you can give me all the checks in the world, it doesn't matter, I'm going to advance my pawns. Yeah, and I promote and I take, and my opponent here resigned. Obviously it is lost. So this was my best win against this guy from Sudan, and yeah, not their best game, but I'm very happy with my play here. As you can see, this is what I like about the London. You start with an equal game, but then you can have a small advantage and make it grow, and yeah, it feels very nice. That opening leads to some positional games, and it feels nice to slowly suffocate your opponent, because you get an advantage and then the advantage grows. Yeah, so this was the game. I wanted to show it to you, because I'm trying to show you more live games between the episode of All Pawns First and Bone Cloud versus bots. So let me know if you want to see more live games. If you do, leave me a comment, and remember that you can also send me your games and I will analyze and make a video about them. So thank you very much for watching. Leave a like, a comment if you want, and if you are new to the channel and want to support me, feel free to subscribe, because we are very close to 400 subs. So thank you again, and see you in the next video.